What's going on, guys? In this video we're going to talk about some halving stuff. We're going to talk about how the stablecoin supply is currently at levels we haven't seen since May of 2022. We're also going to go over the potential for spot Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong, and we'll look over a couple of things on the chart. Now if you guys get something useful out of this, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and let's get started. And first off, we have this article that came out today as of this upload going over the halving. And this here shows you how the per block rewards have decreased over time. After the halving takes effect, we'll go from 6.25 Bitcoin per block down to 3.125 per block. And once the halving takes effect, the issuance of Bitcoin will fall to 450 Bitcoin from 900, or about $27 million worth of Bitcoin coming into the market per day. This is not a large amount. It is not. During the month of February, net inflows into the US spot Bitcoin ETFs averaged 208 million per day, far outpacing the new supply per day. And this is before the halving. Bitcoin will become even more scarce, and this will continue to drive the price up. Now let's look at the Bitcoin price level per halvings. You can see the big picture. We go up and to the right. Who cares if we see a little drop before or after the halving? You have to be taking advantage of it. It seems like a lot of people don't get the big picture. People are saying, this is the top, it's over. We're going to see a huge crash. I'm going to get in cheaper. Typically, the best thing you can do is continue to accumulate. Because what happens if you sell here and we don't go lower? What if we don't go down to 50? What if we don't go down to 60? Well, then the people that sold will have to buy back in higher if we start running and they don't get that price that they wanted. But looking at the halvings, you'll see that we typically do see a little drop before or after the halving. Before, in some cases, after in other cases. In hindsight, any dip, whether it's before or after the halving, was a huge buying opportunity. And this current imbalance from new demand, i.e. the spot Bitcoin ETFs, and new issuance, i.e. the 900 Bitcoin produced per day, this has likely contributed to this upward pressure we've seen on the price. This is likely the reason we have already surpassed new all-time highs. What's it going to be like when there's only 450 Bitcoin coming into the market per day rather than 900? And this is interesting, this article also mentions the impact on miners. And check out what they say here, something that we went over with CleanSpark in the mining update. I'll leave a link for you guys at the end screen regarding that, but look at what they say. In previous cycles, there weren't many large-scale miners and even fewer publicly traded ones. If you guys remember, CleanSpark was barely getting into mining in the last cycle. But check this out, the halving may catalyze merger and acquisition activities among mining firms, driving industry consolidation and fostering innovation in sustainable mining practices. And here's something else interesting regarding the miners, the rise of ordinals. These tokens, which are the NFTs of Bitcoin essentially, this is what people call them, they have the potential to drive on-chain activity and increase transaction fees. This is good for miners. The miners make their money from mining Bitcoin and receiving Bitcoin for their efforts, but they also make money from facilitating transactions. Now let's go over this Hong Kong spot Bitcoin ETF news. We've mentioned this going on in a previous video, a few videos ago, but in this article it's mentioned by Bloomberg Intelligence that Hong Kong could list spot Bitcoin ETFs as early as this quarter. And as said by the former research head at Genesis, this would be a very big deal. An approval before the end of June will coincide with the launch of crypto spot ETNs or exchange-traded notes on the London Stock Exchange. Although these will only be offered to institutional investors, which likely limits the impact. Looking back to 2024, we will probably see this as the year of crypto ETFs. And here's a cool chart that shows you the Bitcoin spot ETFs, what their current assets under management are. You can see that BlackRock is gaining on Grayscale. I do think it's a matter of time until they flip. This would be a breath of relief for the market to see BlackRock's fund finally over Grayscale. It would indicate, in my opinion, that the tides are turning, that Grayscale is having less and less of an impact as they run out of funds essentially. And this could be a huge catalyst moving forwards. Once we do see this flip, I think it's going to happen soon. It might be around the halving. And here's something interesting I didn't know. Monthly volume for Asian spot crypto exchanges stands at about 1.5 trillion. 8 times bigger than the 188 billion seen in the US. However, Atchison noted that volumes do not necessarily translate into fund inflows. A lot of this is due to wash trading, but the relative weight does suggest a greater familiarity with and interest in crypto assets, even if only as a vehicle for speculation. I do think we're going to see a lot more countries jumping on this spot Bitcoin ETF bandwagon. Next up, let's look at what's going on with the stablecoins. Stablecoin expansion continues as Bitcoin rally appears to stall. This expansion of stablecoin supply shows capital continues to flow into the crypto market. And the supply of the top 3 stablecoins, USDT, USDC, and DAI, has increased to $141 billion, the highest since May 2022. And this continued expansion in the supply of stablecoins, which is a proxy for liquidity, is a positive sign for the crypto market according to reflexivity research. As this supply continues to trend up, this shows that capital continues to flow into crypto markets. In other words, a dip demand for Bitcoin could be strong and the broader uptrend may soon resume. This is the key. We are in a broader uptrend. Bitcoin is still bullish. And take a look at the MVRV, the market value to realized value. Historically, a below 0 score has marked market bottoms, while a reading above 7 has marked market tops. And data shows here that the score was 2.87, a sign Bitcoin is far from being overbought or near a major market top. And when you look at the RSIs on longer time frames, on monthlies, on weeklies, Bitcoin is still far from its top. I've showed you guys this. Now, looking at the pattern I showed you guys yesterday for Bitcoin, we're still trending in it. We're still trading in this tightening pattern. We're probably going to see a bounce here and a test of its resistance, its descending resistance, or we're going to break this ascending support that we have utilized for quite a while. It was a resistance. It was a support until we broke from it. You saw a clear reaction to the break. The market will likely react to this support line. If we break it, we're heading to the 50 MA, sitting at about $63,000. But look, we are still bullish. The EMAs are still rising. The moving averages are still rising. And when you see something run this far from its moving averages, typically you see them somewhat retrace, at least come down and test the 50. And maybe it does that. Maybe it tests the 50 MA, sitting at about 63.3. But for now, it is still continuing this tightening pattern. Looks like we're going to see a bounce. We might head up towards our resistance right around 70,000. You'll have to keep an eye and see if we can break this descending resistance or break down from this support and test some lower levels, test the 50 EMA, test the 50 MA, potentially test these lower lows. We don't want to see Bitcoin create new lower lows. Hopefully these can hold up. So far we are still creating higher lows but lower highs. We are in a tightening pattern. We will see a breakout in either direction very soon. Keep a close eye on Bitcoin. It's going to get interesting. And looking at CleanSpark, it touched its 50 EMA today, which was sitting at about 16.15 or so. Looking at the shorter term time frames, CleanSpark is becoming oversold. I think it's an okay ad here. We might continue down a little farther. We might come down to 15. But I'm very bullish on CleanSpark. In their upcoming earnings, they're expecting a profit. In their last earnings, they posted a profit. Very few miners are posting a profit. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's pretty soon, maybe in tomorrow's video or something, I want to talk about another Bitcoin miner that recently posted a profit. We're going to go over their mining update. We're going to briefly go over their earnings, and I'm going to talk about my thoughts on them. I may be starting a position in them soon, so look out for an upcoming video. But despite this pullback, CleanSpark long-term is still looking bullish. We are still trending above bullish EMAs that are in the correct order. We are above all three, and we are still well above our 50 and our 200 MA. Our 50 MA is actually sitting just a little over $15. It would be nice to see it find support there and see a nice little bounce at this 15, which has been a strong support. If we do break this 15 support, we're likely to drop at least another $1. And honestly, I'm happy to see CleanSpark somewhat holding up. I mean, a lot of people are freaking out, but in reality, CleanSpark's holding up somewhat well. There are a lot of miners out there that are more than 50% down from their recent tops. CleanSpark's only down about 33% from its top. It's still over 800% from its lows, about an 8x from its lows, even here with this drop. So, you know, zoom out, guys. We're still very bullish. This is still in an overall uptrend. Keep an eye on this broadening pattern as well. Maybe we somehow do head down to the 13s. I find it somewhat unlikely, but there is a possible bouncing off point here if we fail our EMAs and moving averages. The Bitcoin halving is half of a month away, 2 weeks or so away. The halving date is April 19th. This could come in a day before or day after. We'll have to get a little closer. This could change by a day, likely. But the halving is approaching. Time is running out to be buying the miners. I do think they're going to rally after the halving. Once this catalyst that's seen as a negative gets past us, I do think the miners will pop. Because what do we have to look forward to after the halving? Yes, the halving will cut the rewards for miners, but what's going to happen throughout 2024? Well, Bitcoin's price is probably going to dramatically rise. A lot of these miners were profitable when Bitcoin was in the 40,000 range, looking at this pre-halving. My suspicion is even with Bitcoin at 70, 80,000 potentially, there are going to be many miners in the profits, CleanSpark being one of them. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think we're going to see these miners posting profits pretty shortly after the halving? Is it going to take a while? Is it going to be similar to the last halving cycle, where only a very select few miners are posting a profit at the very tail end of the Bitcoin bull market? Pretty much the beginning of the bear market in reality. I do suspect this time around we're going to see a lot more miners posting profitability, and it should be a very exciting time for Bitcoin, for the Bitcoin miners, for altcoins. The bull market is still in full effect. Maybe we're halfway there. Maybe we're still a little earlier, but all I know is this is going to be an extremely exciting cycle. Imagine the effect these spot Bitcoin ETFs will have when only 450 Bitcoins being produced per day rather than the 900. Imagine the impact on Bitcoin's price when Coinbase runs out of reserves. Guys, it is going to be crazy. It is going to be fun. Let me know how you guys are preparing for the halving. Are you taking advantage of the Bitcoin miners? Are you just loading up on Bitcoin? Are you buying alts? Are you building up your cash pile? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks as always, guys, and I'll see you next time.